so this is technically day 15, although I was supposed to take a break today. I actually took the break yesterday. So this is day 15. This will probably be the last day of this particular series because I've been given a different challenge. I probably will do another video tomorrow. But anyway, today is day 15, 150 is the count, and that I think is my limit. And frankly, quality is better than quantity, so doing 150 crappy sit-ups is probably not as good as doing 30 good sit-ups. So see that on day 16. But anyway, let's get started. I'm going to do, well, I could do 3 sets of 50. I think that would be a bit much. But yeah, 50, 40, 30, 30, 30. No. 50, 40 is 90, that leaves. Okay, 50, 40, 30, 30. So that's what we'll do. We'll do 50, 40, 30, 30. Yay. So let's get that first 50 in. That'll be a real mind screw, that's for sure. Well, TED Talks. I don't know if everybody has seen TED Talks recently, but TED Talks are definitely an interesting thing. I just saw one today, actually, on the use of livestock to graze land in a way that actually reverses desertification. And it's being used in Africa and Patagonia and a couple of other places, and actually having quite an effect. And the funny thing is this technique's been used for over 30 years now and is well documented, and yet, strangely enough, is being poo-pooed on by the establishment. So those are the kinds of things that we really need to refocus on if we're going to help recover our climate back to what it was. I don't think we can focus on just getting off of renewables. I think we need to focus on getting off of renewables, getting off of carbon. We can't just get off carbon. We need to get off carbon, focus on renewables, and also heal the land. And this one technique I saw on this particular TED Talk looked very promising. And I'll definitely link it below in the description. It was quite interesting, and I wish the guy all the best. I wish I could help, actually, but I'm not a farmer. I'm about as far away from farming as you can get. So anyway, let's do another 30, seeing as how we're doing 5 times 30 now. Change of plans. On that note, don't get me wrong, I don't think we can get off carbon easily. I personally don't think liquid fuel is the problem, per se. I think it's the source of the liquid fuel that's the problem. Liquid fuel compared to battery technology just beats it hands down right now, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Having said that, If you're just doing mild commuting like me, like when I was commuting with my car, I was doing maybe 10,000 kilometers a year. My commute's a 15-minute commute. It would be very easy for me to just be part of a car consortium or community or collective, I guess would be the proper word, a car collective, where I don't own the car, I just buy into the collective and I get the use of a car and the car drives me around kind of thing. I can definitely see battery operated, or I should say electric cars which were self-driving and used by a collective. That's definitely coming. But we're not going to get away from liquid fuel. We're still going to have internal combustion engines for long haul, especially down in the States and in Canada, where, let's face it, although we do transport a lot of our goods via train, that most of the distribution is done by truck now, except for massive bulk goods like coal to China. So that's the other thing is we really need to get off of carbon for main grid power, and that means a move to renewables and nuclear. The battery technology for renewable storage just isn't there, and although I'd love to see people use water storage, because pumping water up a hill is actually a form of storage and might even be better than batteries, at least from an ecological point of view, we simply don't have enough dams, and it's not easy to make them. So I don't know if that'll ever catch on, which is too bad. Anyways, another 30 or 60 in, so this will be 90. So how do we get off renewables? Well, that's a good question. Or get onto renewables. Solar is a nasty piece of work. We still don't really understand how best to recycle solar after they die. And they definitely do degrade over time. If we could develop a solar technology that doesn't degrade over time, or that is easier to recycle, that would be a good thing. Wind is not a bad idea per se, except it's only useful in certain areas. Solar is only useful in certain areas too. And of course they both suffer from the wind not blowing or the sun not shining. Having said that, hydro is not bad, except for the ecological damage that it causes when you first install the dam. Three Gorges, I'm looking at you. Site C is another one, although I think, frankly, we should do Site C. Although, frankly, I would have preferred nuclear. But regulatorily speaking and popular opinion speaking, I don't think the Canadian government and the Canadian population is ready for big nukes. Maybe we can get to small modular nuclear stations that are actually built and fueled in a single place and defueled in that same place, and then just, they'd be the size of one of your tractor trailer rigs, that kind of thing, and maybe would produce a megawatt of power. Unfortunately, a megawatt of power doesn't go very far. You'd have to have, 50 to 100 of those in a city like Vancouver, and nobody's going to like that. And to some extent, building the big ones is just more efficient in some respects. However, I do believe we need to get onto lifter technology because that will clean up all of those spent, used fuel rods in the pressurized water reactor coolant pools around the world. They're not spent, and calling them used is really a misnomer because those fuel rods still have about 90% of their energy left. They just don't produce it in a heat range that's, quote, usable in a PWR reactor, whereas they can definitely be used to seed a lifter reactor, and the lifter reactor will chew them up and eat them up pretty good. It uses a fuel cycle that pretty much gets rid of all the nasty bits, and doesn't produce plutonium either, so there's not even any weapons proliferation risks. It's one of the things that really pisses me off about Iran. We could have easily given Iran nuclear technology in the form of lifter without any worries of them developing a nuclear weapon. But of course, that's not what they wanted. They wanted PWRs because, or at least that's what the press would tell us, is they want to build nukes. I personally think they know very well that if they ever built a nuclear weapon, it would be instant war. I mean, Israel's not gonna put up with that kind of crap. They just won't. So we've done 90. We need to do 60 more in 2 batches of 30, which really sucks. What else is in the news? Oh yeah, the British Parliament got prorogued for 5 weeks. So basically the British Parliament is closed for business for the next 5 weeks. They're going to be closed until October 14th. Now, if a hard Brexit is supposed to happen on the 31st of October, that gives them 2 weeks to do whatever they need to do in Parliament to get a deal passed. And Boris, to love him or leave him, he's got the next 5 weeks to somehow negotiate with the EU a deal that will be able to get through Parliament in 2 weeks. Now, I don't know about you, but obviously a deal with the EU, with Great Britain outside of Brexit, is not going to be as good as the deal they have currently as part of the EU. I think that's really beside the point. I don't think this is about economics. This is more about Great Britain and the fear of them losing sovereignty, I think. There's also some fear around immigration and the changing of our culture, which of course comes with immigration. But if it was purely an economical decision, staying within the EU would make perfect sense. Now, of course, the EU is a troubled, I would argue, a very troubled institution. I've made this argument many times. I believe the EU's problems mainly lie in the fact that they are halfway between a pure trade agreement and a federation of European states. And I don't think that halfway point works. How is it that Great Britain still has the pound as their currency? how can you expect to allow multiple states in the Union to set fiscal policy and yet have only a single currency, the EU, or the euro? That doesn't work either. How can you be a federation of states, which they aren't yet, while still having a bank for each state, effectively, and have a federal bank? Because the EU, I believe, does have a federal bank. Again, it just doesn't work. Either stay as a purely economic union, NAFTA. Another one would be the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. Either you do that, and you don't screw around with people's sovereignty, or you become a federation of states, and certain sovereign issues, immigration, citizenship, financial or fiscal policy, military. The EU still doesn't have a military. All of those things would be at the federal level, which is where they always inevitably end up being. And then you give states whatever powers the states have. In the United States, they have a different formula than we do up here in Canada. But both the US and Canada are effectively a union of states. The US more so than Canada, but Canada still is a confederation of provinces. If you try and do something in the middle, which the EU has morphed into over the 30 plus years that they've been in existence, actually I think it's more like 40 or 50 now. I'm not sure when the official start of the official EU was, but I know they had trade agreements before that. If you try and do something in the middle, you're going to have problems, and that's what they're experiencing. You get Poland saying, I'm sorry, we're not taking, you've told us, the agreement was we would take X number of immigrants, and sorry, that number's too large, we're only going to take this many. You can't have that. Like, it makes no sense, especially when they're in the Shenzhen zone, and immigration movement of people in that zone is supposed to be free. There aren't supposed to be borders. I can move anywhere in Canada I want. If I go down to the States and get U.S. citizenship, I can move to any U.S. state I want. The idea with the Shenzhen zone, I think that's how you pronounce it, I could be wrong, in the EU was the same. But again, they're just in this middle zone where it's like, here's your economic union, here's your federation of states, we're somewhere in the middle, and it doesn't make any sense. And so that's why you get things like Brexit. And heaven help them if they actually do leave the EU. I don't know what's going to happen to Great Britain. I can say that Scotland will probably separate, and my family will finally have a Scottish country to call their own. My family is from Scotland. Shetland Islands, to be specific. Will Wales split off? And what do you do about Northern Ireland? Will they split off and either become Northern Ireland or merge with Ireland? I don't see a merger of Northern Ireland and Ireland happening anytime soon. But I could see Northern Ireland split off and become their own country. The whole EU thing is just a nightmare. The whole Brexit thing is just a symptom of the nightmare that is the EU. And, let's face it, some of my friends would say that the EU was formed to keep France and Germany from butting heads. Well, if you try to form a federation of states with France and Germany, let's face it, that constitution is going to be written by France and Germany. And if Britain isn't part of the EU, they won't be part of that writing process. And every other country is going to have to, suck it up and either be part of this new federation of Europe or not. And I could see that happening if France and Britain got together and said, okay guys, we are forming a federation of France and Germany, and forget the EU. If you want to be a part of it, fine, but here's the deal. I could totally see France and Germany doing that, but that's not going to happen because France and Germany just have so many cultural differences. I don't see them agreeing on what the federation would be. So, anyways, less politics, more sit-ups. 30 more. I'm at 120, 30 more. So, yay. Alright, 150, 5 sets of 30. That's done. Day 15. No, I won't talk about that yet. Sorry, I'm not going to talk about that yet. You'll have to be surprised. Anyway, that's day 15. 150 sit-ups, such as they are. This is the last day of this challenge. I think 150 is my max, and frankly, the sit-up form I am doing, the form is just shit. There's no point continuing until I get better form. So, thank you all for watching this series. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. I will have more videos coming up. I don't know what will be next, but thank you for watching.